Another week, another episode, and man, oh man, here we go. Welcome into episode 12 of MEC Roundup. I'm your host, Taylor Kennedy. You can follow me on Twitter at Taylor_Kennedy7 for all the latest about this podcast. You can also go on our website at mountaineast.org to find the latest about everything going on the men's and women's basketball side within the MEC. And you can also find some standings, statistics, whatever you want. Believe me, it's there. But you can also find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as well. And I am excited about this episode, and let's get it going. Let's get it cranked up. Please welcome Wheeling men's head basketball coach, Chris Richardson. Chris, welcome to the program.
Great to be here, Taylor. Appreciate you having me on.
So how's everything been for you all this season? I mean, 8-15 this season. Sort of walk us through how the season has gone for you all up to this point.
Yeah, year two here at Wheeling and first kind of I guess you could say normal year, as normal as this year's been. But, if you look at the results, probably not where you want to be. But if you look at the progress, couldn't be more excited. It's easy to look at the results and say, well, 8-15, they must not be very good. But, the team that took the court for the first time against outside competition on October 23rd at Canisius, we are a long way forward from that team here on February 10th. We've just improved so much and we continue to improve. And so as long as we continue to improve, we're really confident that the results that we want will be there at the end of the year.
How have you seen this team improve? I mean, you mentioned how it's a completely different team from game one, but I'm curious, how has this team kind of improved?
We've just gotten more and more ingrained in what we're doing. When you bring in new guys and you're putting the pieces together, it takes time. And we've got, an interesting mix here, some guys that have played together for a few years and but under, a few different coaches. Some guys I'm their third coach, in just a short amount of time. So, just putting the pieces together takes time, and you can't skip steps. You can't hit fast forward. You can't put it in the microwave. It's more like just something you got to look at day by day. And so we've got a great group of guys, and as many tough, heartbreaking losses as we've had this year. If some of those go the other way, our record looks a lot different. But to their credit, they haven't let those close results, those heartbreaking results, interrupt their work ethic, interrupt their focus. They've just kept coming to work every day and getting better. And so, like I said, man, as long as we keep doing that, we're going to be just fine, and couldn't be more proud of our team right now.
Do you feel like you're still in year one? I mean, did you use your COVID year, so to speak? So you're technically year one head coach compared to year two?
I don't know. I mean, we were here last year. The difference is, it was a 16-game regular season for the Mountain East, which thank God we got to play. A lot of leagues out there did not get to play. So we are more grateful for those 16 games than anything. But with our situation where we kind of got hit with it in the middle of January, we ended up playing most of our games between February and the beginning of March. I think out of our 18 total games, 14 of them were from February 2nd to March 5th or something like that. So, in some respects, going through the rigors, the ups and downs of the season that come with wins, losses, injuries, defining roles, changing some of those roles as the season goes on. In some of those respects, it is a little bit like year one. But, out there on the floor, once you tip it off, you don't really think about all that stuff. So we're happy with where we're at. Certainly encouraged with a lot of things we're seeing from not just our upperclassmen, but our underclassmen, and looking forward to continue to move things in the right direction here.
Let's talk a little bit about Wednesday night's victory over Concord. You guys went 82-80. When you look back at that game, what sort of went right in your guys' favor in that game?
Well, I thought we really battled. One of our leading scorers, Jordan Reed, who's an all-conference player the last 2 years, he sprained his ankle like literally right at the end of practice on Tuesday night, I guess. Like the last segment of practice that we were doing, the very end of that segment, he stepped on someone's foot, rolled his ankle, and was going to try it out yesterday, and just he wasn't able to go. He couldn't cut, he couldn't play like himself. So we got together with training staff, and it was mutually agreed upon like it's best for him not to play. So our team handled that really well. Jordan gets whatever it is, 18, 20 points a game. There's not one guy that has to come out and take those 18, 20 points and get all the rebounds that he gets and the assists and all that. But I just thought everybody did a little bit more. We were really together to play against Concord. You better be tough. And I thought we were, the toughest team on the floor for 40 minutes. And that's no disrespect for Concord. That's a compliment to our guys. So, we got a lot of loose balls. We did a great job on the glass, total team effort, and lucky to come out with a win.
I think the one thing that sticks out to me, because I'm looking at this box score right now, I think the one thing that sticks out to me is that you guys out-rebounded them on the offensive glass 16-4. I mean, you had mentioned how physical and how active you guys were around the rebounding glass, but do you think that number of 16 offensive rebounds was the deciding factor in that game?
Maybe it means we missed a lot of shots. But Andrew Taylor is a sophomore for us. And, when you talk about one of your previous questions, year one, whatever, Andrew didn't play a whole lot for us last year. He played a little bit for us at the end of the season. So this is really like his first full season. And he was a multi-sport athlete down in the Dallas area, played at Pierce High School in Richardson, Texas with Drew Timme. That's National Player of the Year candidate from Gonzaga. That's his buddy. They played together in high school. But he also was a football player. He thought for a long time he was going to go play football. He was a track star, and he actually ran track in the outdoor season last spring, and I think finished 4th in the Mountain East in high jump. So, him being able to just focus on basketball day in and day out, like he's made massive strides. And one area where he can really help us and has helped us is on the glass. He's a really good athlete. He plays hard. He's doing a much better job as the season's gone on of just tracking the flight of the ball and getting to the right spot. And, when he goes to the glass, he's very difficult to block out. Same thing with Brent Price. And then you don't think about point guards being great offensive rebounders a lot, but Jared Haynes will go get some offensive rebounds too. So those guys have done a good job with that. Last night was one of the best we've been. And then what I'm really proud of is holding them to 4 offensive rebounds on the other end. We've had some issues because we play a lot of zone. We've had some issues at times keeping teams off the offensive glass. And last night I thought we were exceptional and not just blocking out, but going and getting the ball. And so that was a big key to the game for sure.
When you look at where you guys have been throughout conference play, I know, again, you guys have played a very vigorous schedule, but, you guys are 7-10 in conference play this season. But looking at from this point moving forward, how do you want to see your team continue to develop into the team that you're ultimately wanting them to become?
Yeah, it's just putting it together for 40 minutes on both ends. Some of those non-conference games we lost, and even some of the early Mountain East games we lost. We lost by 2 to Notre Dame at home early in the season. They hit a shot with a couple seconds left. We missed a shot. We went down to AB right before Thanksgiving. Jalen Knott hit a big-time 3 at the buzzer for them. That's how close we've been. West Virginia State hit a couple shots the other day down the stretch. We missed a couple shots. Like it's a make or miss game, and sometimes you make them, sometimes you miss them. But just putting together a full 40 minutes like we did, I thought last night, puts you in a position to win the game at the end. So we've done that by and large in a lot of our games the second semester. There's no quit, there's no give in with these guys. It's just a matter of being consistently the team that we're supposed to be out there on the floor for 40 minutes, not 35, not 38, not 5 minutes here and then 5 minutes off, but for 40 minutes. And so if we can do that game in and game out coming down the stretch, I'm really excited to see, what we can do.
Let's do some player personnel. So let's start with your freshman class, because it seems like you've had some freshmen step up, especially this late in the season. But give me a collective perspective of what you've seen from this year's freshman class.
Yeah, we got 2 freshmen that are playing significant minutes for us. Zion Suddeth from Charleston Catholic, Will Gabbert from Greenbrier East, and also played a lot of his career at George Washington High School. So, the thing with Will, like I'll use last night's game as an example. Will can play all over the floor for us. He's helped us bring the ball up against the press at times this year because he's a pretty good ball handler. He's played some stretch 4 for us because he knows that spot. Last night, there's a possession that stands out in my mind where he ran the spot at the 5 and caught the ball in a good place to make a play. And hit one of our cutters on a backdoor cut. And I don't know that he's ever repped that spot in practice, but he studied it, he's internalized it, and he was able to go out on the floor and make a game. So he's a really valuable player because he can play so many different spots. He's a very mature player. And then Zion Suddath, he gives us really productive minutes. Even trying to think, I think it was Davis and Elkins. He played 2 minutes of that game, right? Jared Haynes is a hard guy to get off the floor. He's just got great endurance and, gives us so much on both ends. Like he can play 35 to 40 minutes every night. So sometimes it's been hard to find Zion some of those minutes, but like against Davis and Elkins, he gave us 2 great minutes, blocked a shot, hit a nice little fade away in the lane and made some big plays on the defensive end. So those are 2 guys that have been ready when their number's called. The tough thing about being a freshman when you're playing with a group of veterans is, sometimes those minutes will be more extended and sometimes they'll be a little bit more limited. But those guys have done a great job of handling that. And I'm really excited just about not just what they can do for us down the stretch this season, but what they're going to do for us, the next 3-4 years.
Let's talk about the guy that you talked about earlier. That's Jordan Reed. He sprained his ankle, as you said, in one of the practices leading into the Concord game. But you guys are leading scorer, averaging 19 points per game. But looking at his numbers, he's only made 1 3-pointer out of 8 attempts. And all of his shots have come within the 3-point arc. So looking at his game, how unique is it to just watch a guy like him that has only attempted 8 threes all season?
Yeah, what's ironic is that 3 that he hit was literally the first shot I think he took all season against East Stroudsburg. So, he's actually put a lot of time in on his jump shot, and he can hit it. It's just a matter of his knees being down and ready, being ready to catch and shoot. But he's so good off the bounce. He's so good around the rim. He's a unique player. He produces at a high level for a guy his size. He does a great job getting to the free throw line. And then there's been some times this season where he's made a lot of plays, for other guys where he's had 4, 5, 6 assists in a game. And, he draws so much attention because he can get to the rim against players of smaller size, players of bigger size. Like he can get to the rim. So he's done a better job, this season, I think, of finding the open guy. And he's a tough matchup. I wouldn't like to coach against him. He's one of those guys you're really glad he's on your team. But more importantly, like last night, he didn't play. He was very vocal on the bench, encouraging the guys that were in the game, encouraging them in timeouts. And with him and Jared both deciding to come back for their final season, their COVID season, I'm just so appreciative of that. And they've tried to make the most of it. They've done a great job leading, as well as Jay Gentry. And like with Jordan, I don't know how many games we got left together, but I'm going to enjoy each and every one of them down the stretch here.
Looking at Jared Haynes, you mentioned how difficult it is for him to get off the court, just of how active and how, energetic he is on the court. But when you look at his game, does it make your job easier to have a guy like him that that you will get productive minutes out of him?
Yeah, because he just does such a good job of, he's a coach on the floor. That sounds cliche. I've heard it for years. But now that I'm a head coach, I understand 100% what that means. He's a coach on the floor. He gets us into stuff on both ends. He did a great job on Saturday at West Virginia State of getting us into different defenses throughout the game. He's very vocal. He's our vocal leader, spends a ton of time in the gym. And when he gets in the gym, he's not a guy that comes in and just throws the ball up and that doesn't really work very hard, just kind of there to be there. He's not that guy. He's a guy that comes in and has a routine and gets a good sweat going and takes game shots from game spots at game speed. So he's an invaluable piece of this year's team. And with all those guys, they're going to be a valuable piece of what we're building here, even though they'll be gone after this year. They're going to kind of set the standard for what the work ethic takes as an individual, how you handle, the games that don't go your way and just coming back the next day and getting to work. I knew we'd be fine coming into this game when I ran into Jared Haynes Monday morning in the gym, getting his work in early before practice, had a great attitude and was ready to attack the week. So those are the things, it's easy to see the production, the points, the assists, the steals and all that. It's easy to see that on the score and watching the games. But what I'm really, really proud of is what we see from him every day as a leader.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time. It was great catching up with you. Good luck the rest of the way, and we'll talk soon.
You got it. Appreciate it, Taylor. Go Cards.
Absolutely. That was Coach Chris Richardson from Wheeling University, and that will conclude episode 12 of MEC Roundup. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at Taylor_Kennedy7 for all the latest about this podcast. Go on our website, mountaineast.org, for everything else regarding men's and women's basketball, along with all of our other sports as well. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as well. So again, this will conclude episode 12 of MEC Roundup with our guest, Chris Richardson. Thank you all for listening, and stay safe.